yourself.
All right, hey, we are on. I just hit record on accident, so like everything.
Look at you.
We're good. We're good. Welcome to Xceleration Fitness Podcast, number 32. Very special guests, and we just jumped in this podcast, guys. I asked him yesterday if he could do it. This guy, his name is Chad Smith. Chad was my roommate this past weekend at the Activate conference out in Phoenix, Arizona. Chad is from, you gotta help me with the Hagerstown, is that how you say it?
Hagerstown, Maryland.
Hagerstown, Maryland, yes.
Yeah.
Chad's a trainer at Fitness Revolution, and I brought him on the podcast today just because I got to spend the weekend with him, hear his story, and hear, how he got to where he is, his passions, his everything with fitness. We did a workout together. It was kick-ass. And Chad is one of the only guys I know that has arms that are close to my size.
Hey, you know what? Let's not go too far here, bro. Let's not go too far.
Hey, Chad, before I bring you in, though, I got to play something that's going to –
Hey, well, hold on, but I'm also about twice your age, so –
I know. Hey, just so you guys can see that video, Chad's arms are twice the size of mine. So I definitely felt safe sleeping. But, Chad, before I bring you in, I got to do this just to make it official. All right, is that okay?
Yeah, let's do it, brother. Oh, you don't know about this. Come on, you don't know about that in Detroit. You don't know about that.
Oh, yeah. All right.
A little Pantera.
Before I go on, guys, I can't leave out my guy, John Pat.
What's the significance of this?
The significance of this, we were walking, walking back, and I was like, hey, what is your entrance song? Because I didn't say this to you guys. Chad Smith is also a professional wrestler.
OG pro wrestler, man. From back. Yeah, I had a but the thing is, you have to clarify, what that means. I wasn't, on the road full time doing that kind of thing. It was something that was my athletic outlet. That was what I did. I was like you play semi-pro football, you play, in a league, but professional wrestling is unique because it's a craft like acting, or it's a craft, where you build skills and you build performance. So I call it physical performance. I went up and down the East Coast for about 20 years, working for different promotions. Just had a great time, man. My goal was to wrestle in Japan. That was my goal. But to do that, man, you got to be committed, like on the road every weekend, hitting up shows everywhere. That just wasn't my bag, man. I was building a career in fitness, and I just wasn't really ready to make that kind of sacrifice, man. But I had a real long career, though. I mean, I had some great matches with guys like Jerry the King Lawler, Gangrel, Rock and Roll Express. So a lot of Hall of Famer guys. I've been in the ring with a lot of those guys, and it was a lot of fun. Actually, I had neck surgery a couple of years back. I had a cervical fusion at C5, C6, and that put me out for about 6, maybe 7 years. So I just got back into it this year, and I've been having the time of my life, and it's been awesome.
I did not know
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how did that all start? Like, where did the kind of want to be a professional wrestler come from?
Because I used to watch it, man. I used to watch pro wrestling. The first time I ever watched wrestling was a couple of weeks before WrestleMania. The very first WrestleMania was when I started, because my mom was a big fan, a huge fan of wrestling from back. She used to watch guys like Haystacks Calhoun and all those old school guys here in Hagerstown. They used to have regular shows here in Hagerstown a long time ago. But I got into it because when I was a member at the Boys and Girls Club here in Hagerstown, which is where I got my start with the lifting, by the way. Thank you very much, Jim Diener. They used to have the wrestling on every Saturday, so I would watch it. And then they actually bought the first WrestleMania, and I watched it at the Boys and Girls Club, and I was hooked, man. I was hooked. And funny enough, actually, I like the bad guys more than anybody else, man. The bad guys was my deal. So when I got into it, I wanted to be a bad guy so bad. We call them heels in the world of, in the business. I wanted to be a heel because they were the most entertaining guys, man. Like when you think about all the best good guys like Hulk Hogan and all those guys, and you always think about the classic bad guy that made them that good. Because you can only be as good a hero as you have a good villain to push you into the hero role. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I'm just thinking back at my time. It was Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, those guys.
Yeah.
You watch wrestling? I never asked you that.
A little bit, not much though. Here and there.
John wrestled in high school too, so all three of us have wrestling backgrounds in here. So
there we go.
Well, I'm gonna come to Detroit, man, and we're gonna have a little try meet.
There we go.
Chad, you can't come, man. You can't come. Oh, yeah, I want to get on John's question. Was it fitness first, then wrestling, or was it the other way around?
It was actually fitness first, and then wrestling. I wrestled in high school, but actually back before that, I wasn't even an athletic kid whatsoever. Almost every guy in my family was. I had all-star basketball players. My dad was a great tennis player. My mom had done derby, and I had cousins who all played D1 sports. I never really found. I was a nerd, man. I was a little soft little nerd back in the day, man. I was more into comic books, and I was into action figures and video games, man. And, going outside, I would play, kickball and dodgeball, but I never really played any because I sucked at basketball. Terrible basketball, man. Horrible. When you think about, you think all black dudes play basketball. This is the one dude that's had no skills. I'm the one guy who you didn't want to pass that ball to under any circumstance whatsoever because that joint was going nowhere fast. No skills, baby, no skills. So I was really like a ball guy, man. So I didn't play any sports until I got to high school because the wrestling coach, he was a good friend of my cousin Carlton who played rugby with him, and he played football and ran track and played baseball, like mega athlete, man. And I was at my cousin's wedding, and I saw a coach, his name was Coach Greg Slick, and he had this big beard, man, this like real deep chesty voice. He was like, pleased to meet you, son. When are you going to high school? I said, in about 2 years. All right. You come see me. You're going to be a wrestler. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to be a wrestler. So when I got to my freshman year, I was actually academically ineligible. I didn't do any homework, like almost my entire freshman year. So I was academically ineligible for the entire year. So the next year was when I got into it. My sophomore year, I got my grades up, and I was able to get into wrestling. And I wrestled 3 years, and then I got out, man. And then, but all through then, I was weightlifting. So I didn't compete yet, but it was always twice a week after school, and we always had our formal our lifting program after school. And I'd go to the gym with my buddies, man, just wherever they had a membership, they would take me with them. And then after I graduated is when I was they had a free Tuesday night show every week at the training center here. There's actually a wrestling school here in Hagerstown called the Neil Superior. Yeah, the Neil Superior School of Professional Wrestling, which is currently ran by a guy named John Rambo. Believe it or not, John Rambo looks just like Sly Stallone. Crazy, also John Rambo. Yeah, but they had a free show every week. I went to the show. I was like, I can't believe there's actually a freaking. I didn't know there's actually a freaking school here. So I joined on the first night that I went to the free show, and I was in the ring a couple of months after that. So and that was it, man. That's what I found. I found my thing, and I was in love with it ever since. In love.
So did that go parallel with fitness? I mean, and also I didn't introduce where you're at in fitness right now. If you want to tell us about where you're at, how you got there.
Where I'm at? You mean as far as?
Yeah, what gym you're at and what you do.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm at my gym. I mean, I own Fitness Revolution here in Hagerstown. So that's where I work out naturally. It's really the only time I get to be by myself, man. So like after hours, I just close up the shop and I just go. I just train. And but I never really had. I did a couple of bodybuilding shows because I was kind of taught how to lift by bodybuilders. My optometrist actually was a bodybuilder. And
wow,
he gave me stacks of Flex magazine and Muscle and Fitness every time I went to go see him, man. So I was always reading about all those guys' workouts. So I would always be trying to do these freaking, pro bodybuilder workouts at age 14. Freaking not able to walk the next day. I'm doing like 14 sets of chest, 22 sets of legs. I'm freaking debilitated for a day time. But that's the deal. So I was training bodybuilding style, and I got into pro wrestling, and for me, that was the purpose of lifting. For me, was to look good and be strong for wrestling. Would be, be strong in the ring, because you have to. I'm a big believer in looking like a pro wrestler. I wasn't like, I'm 5'9", I'm about 200 pounds right now. I've always been pretty lean, so I was never like a big, like a jacked up wrestler look. You know what I mean? Like a big,
Like the Rock.
5 guy. Yeah, I was never a bull like that, but I wanted to look as good as I could. At 5'9", at the capacity, like the biggest I've ever been was 215. That was the biggest I've been at 5'9", about 215. But I couldn't move well. I got tired fast. So I got the muscle and the power, but I lost the conditioning. So I found that my most athletic weight is like 195 to about 205. That's my range to keep athletic. So I've always tried to be there. So, but when I was in the ring with guys who were bigger than me, I had to make up for it with intensity. You know what I mean? So I was like it was like a pit bull in a fight. I guess like a Rottweiler. You don't really doubt the pit bull. You know what I mean? Because I made up for intensity, and my move set reflected my size, and so. But that's neither here nor there. But that was it. So the fitness came first, and then that moved to serve the wrestling.
Okay.
So
the long way of saying that.
All good. So how did you transition then into training other people and kind of making this your career?
Man, well, funny story about that was when I was 18, I used to work out at the downtown YMCA. And when I was working out, I was always a student of it. I was always trying to learn how to get better at it, how to get bigger, better, faster, all that kind of good stuff. And people started, to notice how I was looking and when I was really consistent in the gym each and every day. And they started to ask questions, and pretty soon they started to be turned into, can I work out with you? And that started to turn into, hey, how much would you charge me to train me? I was like I can get paid doing this? Wait, there's money involved? Because I didn't realize that there's money involved. Right? So at the time, the YMCA, they had their own in-house certification program at the time. I don't know if they even do it anymore, but at the time, they had their in-house certification program for trainers and master trainers. So I went through their program totally free. They wanted me to do it, so they didn't charge me a dime for it. I went through their program and began to train. And I think I was actually one of their first actual personal trainers. I think that was there at the time. Because back in my day, it wasn't really a thing yet. Back then, back in the like early 90s, personal training wasn't really a thing yet. It was something that Joe Bodybuilder did on the side, you know what I mean? While he was, that was an outlet for his steroid sales. I'm going to train you now. Take this. You know what I mean? We're going to get you swole, brah. So that's how I got into it, and then just kind of just built from there, man. I mean, I didn't come in like full-time training until later. I just kind of did it part-time, make some extra money. Started going to a few conferences and started to learn that, wait a minute, people actually make careers out of doing this. So I started just to read and kept going to more workshops and started to do internships and started to learn more and more about the business and how it could actually be a business and how to get better, like Dave said, the craft of fitness, how to become a craftsman, program design and execution of program, all of the intricacies of how to be a good coach. And I think at the time that put me ahead of everybody else in my area because no one was really treating it seriously, like it could be like a full-time gig. Only a handful of guys around here were really, well, men and women were actually doing it as a full-time thing. And I'll tell you one book that really made a difference with my training was when I read, I started getting into, it was Juan Carlos Santana. You guys know who that is?
Yeah, I do.
When I read his book, The Essence of Program Design, and I was like, wow, man, this is like innovative because at the time, everyone trained like a bodybuilder. Like, no one really was talking about, it wasn't really a thing yet to talk about functional strength training, about the, about learning how the body moves. And everyone was talking about, body part splits and, muscles. And no one was really talking about helping people, actually move better and how to train movements and not focusing so much on muscles and body parts, and how to train the body as a unit and not as individual parts. So when I read that book, I was like, wow, mind blown, man. And I started just to keep going down that rabbit hole. I started to get learn more about the functional anatomy and getting real deep into the science of it, man. And that put me so far ahead of everyone else, man. And I think that's what kind of made me popular initially, because the way I was training was completely different than the way anybody had ever seen anybody work out. You know what I mean? Because of the things that because of these concepts that I was learning that nobody else was really paying attention to at the time. You know what I mean? So I think that's pretty much the way I've always tried to operate, was to try to stay ahead of the curve, man. It's like, but you guys want to know as well as I do, if you want to be different, you got to go back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of new young trainers, they're trying to be different, but in the wrong ways. A lot of guys, they think that they have to bury people, and they have to make them tired, and they have to, if they're not debilitated the next day, if they didn't do it, that wasn't a good session, they have to, but I'm like, man, but that's not, is that fitness? Or is that you just, is it about you? It's about them, it's about you. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's just making it about them. And I try to make it, always been results driven. How can I best serve these people? How can I get them to look better, feel better, perform better? That was always it. Look better, feel better, perform better. With using what's appropriate. And as I've gotten older, I found that less is more.
Absolutely.
Less is more. We've gone from hour and a half workouts to like half hour and 45-minute workouts, getting more done in less time. And that being, I think that's a reflection on how good of a coach you are, how deep your knowledge is, because if I can get you the same results at half the time, right? If I can condense, what you would normally do in an hour and a half into a really focused half-hour session, who's better coached?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So hopefully that answered your question that you asked me half an hour ago.
No, it does. Yeah. Man. This is really interesting for us because neither of us were in training in like the early 90s and that kind of thing. So
you wasn't even born yet.
You have the whole perspective of that side of fitness and like what fitness is now. So I feel like you've seen everything. So let me ask you this. If I come to Fitness Revolution, I'm a brand new client and I'm coming to Hagerstown, I come to your gym, what's that operation like? How long are the classes? What would I do? How does it get started?
Well, it depends on what you're doing. If we're doing, we basically offer three things. We have group exercise classes, like Zumba, step, all that kind of fun stuff. Everything we do, it's made to be interactive and social. You know what I mean? So that's why we don't have treadmills, we don't have, all that kind of stuff. Everything that we do is either coached or you have an instructor. So that's everything that we do. And we have our group strength and conditioning programs called fitranks. It's we progress people through 8 levels of fitness standards, right? So
John I don't think John knows about fitranks. It's kind of I've seen it before, but go ahead.
Well, the way it works is, one thing that is missing in a lot of gyms and training centers are fitness standards. So when you're in high school, you're in college, you have standards. By this time you ought to be able to do this much percentage of your body weight, this much. But once you get past that point, it's really missing. No one really has standards of performance. So the fit rank system is all about standards and always about what's next. Now, here's where you are, here's where you've come from, here's where you're going next, here's where you can ultimately be. So there's 8 levels of fitness standards to reach for, and each one is progressively built on the last standard. We call them our level tests. So ideally, if someone comes in and joins our FitRanks program, ideally we like you to take your first level test in about 6 to 8 weeks after you join, right? And the level 1 test is designed so that it's not extremely difficult, that it's very accessible, just to get you a good win under your belt. You know what? Okay, I can do this. Now I'm excited for level 2, right? Now the real work begins, once you go from level 1 to level 2, you know what I mean?
What level 1 is?
Yeah, level 1, each test is broken down into 3 categories. It's broken down into strength portion, kettlebell skills, and then conditioning. All right. So, and every strength portion is built on pushing. You have a push, a pull, a squat, a hinge, and a core movement. The core movements are meant to progress you from the floor into a full get up, into a full Turkish get up, combination with a high windmill, and then a high windmill. It might be, so that's the core progression, is to get you into the windmill progression. And then we get conditioning, which is usually a tricep, which is 3 exercises back to back, right, for time. And then you might go into a quad set. Then it might go into 2 triceps. Then it might be going to 2 quad sets. So the volume progresses, the breaks get shorter, and the time under stress gets increased also as you progress, as you get your work capacity built up. So that's the progression from level 1 to level 8. Level 8 though, level 8 is you do levels 1 to 7 back to back.
Damn. Woo. There you go.
So you're looking at like a full, if you look, it's like 2 years is the goal from level 1 to level 7. 2 years.
That's awesome. I love that because it reminds me a lot of the martial arts system of, belts and
Exactly.
stuff.
Yeah.
There's always something to work towards. Yeah, you get this one, so now we're working towards the next one. What belt is that?
This is green.
Yeah. I always say that was the green belt. That's the green belt. Yeah, and that's also because it gives people built-in long-term goals. Like, I know where I'm at, and I know what's next. I know what ultimately is my goal, and everyone has access to every test, right? You get a.
Oh, we're live on Instagram too, so people be asking questions. So just be ready.
Oh wow, okay. Oh, okay, cool. Oh man, I'm ready, baby. I'm ready for you.
Tyler Kirby, you can ask some questions, man. I'm talking to Chad Smith.
I'm ready for you, son. Do this thing. Yeah, so that's it. So we're gonna go, and then after your first 2 years, and keep in mind that's a target. Some folks might get there a little sooner. Like we have 3 age groups. So age bracket 3, that's the 55 and up. We have. She is 61 years old, who was on point to be our first level 7 at our gym.
That's How old? Awesome.
She's 61 years old. She's 6'1". She is a beast, son. She is going to be our first. She's taking in the test is in 3 weeks, and she's going to be our first level. I've been working with her one-on-one, and she actually became one of our coaches. Actually, also, yeah, she'll be our first level 7 in 3 weeks. Yeah.
So let me just kind of recap this. So if I am 45 years old, I come to your gym. After the first 6 weeks, we do a fitranks system just to test my conditioning, my overall core strength ability, and I have levels to look up to.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
I get to kind of measure where I'm at, and it's something you can look forward to then, right?
Yep, exactly.
And you mentioned this when we were in Arizona. How many level 8s are there in the world?
There are less than 10, I believe. I think there's even 10, I think.
Yeah.
Level 8, it's like lots of people say, CrossFit. I to call themselves elite, right? But you're looking at, how is that you run? I think about elite. I think about like the best of the best, man. And there's a clear standard in the fit rank system for you to really legit call yourself the best of the best.
It's crazy. I want to know that. Like this has got me motivated. Just hearing about it.
If you can get through level 7, you can legit call yourself one of the best in the world. If you can get through level 8, you are truly elite.
What level are you at?
The best of the best. You know what I mean? Right now, I'm level 6.
Okay.
Yeah, level 6. I tried level 7 and failed miserably, but I mean, I did it because at my body weight, the weights are heavy, man, which is so heavy on the conditioning portion. It's like because I'm a bigger guy, it's like I really have to focus a lot on my conditioning. You know what I mean? A lot. And
what are some of the strength
if I had to talk about what's up?
What are some of the strength standards?
Well, the strength standards, I get through the strength part, pretty easy. I've always been a strong guy. The conditioning portion is on level 7 is you've got to work through so much exhaustion. You know what I mean? You really have to manage exhaustion. There's a lot of like, for instance, which one part of a quadricep is 4 exercises in a circuit. Now, which one part of the quadricep, on the second quadricep, is a kettlebell complex, right? So it's swings, cleans, swing, clean, squat, and then presses, right? And that's for a minute. You have to do it 4 times at the end of the workout. My shoulders are fried by then, man. So I know I have to really work on my muscle endurance for that, using heavy resistance. That's the core. It really exposes, you know, where your gaps are, you know, and I know that my gaps are right there. It's the muscle endurance, you know, past exhaustion. It's really, you know, digging deep and pushing past the exhaustion and maintaining form, you know, while I manage, you know, my movement. So that's where I know that's where my gap is, and I am just not there yet.
Yeah, that's awesome though, because I mean, you're the gym owner. You know, you've been in the industry for 20 plus years. So like, to hear you say that, like, you've still got like 3 levels to go and you still have things to improve on. That's cool, because, you know, it never stops improvement, really.
No, never. No, never, man. God, no, never. And it's like, you know, and once I get through level 7, you know, I tell everyone, if you get through level 7, right, you're looking at about another year, maybe even 2 years to get to level 8. You know what I mean? You know, if you really want to focus and you want to do it right, and you want to really get through it without dying, you gotta like make level 8. That's your focus for like the next year. You know what I mean? So you have to work on getting levels 1 to 3, boom. Levels 1 to 4, boom. Levels 1 to 5, like chain them all together. Levels 1 to 6, levels 1 to 7, right? And then do it officially. You know what I mean? You know, with the prescribed breaks in between each test. So, but when I used to train a couple of fighters, there was something that they taught me. It was always a train hard, fight easy. So you always train harder than the fight that you anticipate. So if you're looking for level 8, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, keep your breaks to a minimum, try to power through all 7. So that way, when you do get your breaks, you know, it's a lot easier on you.
Okay. Speaking of, I want to know this too. Did you competed in bodybuilding, right? Did you ever compete in powerlifting?
Yeah, I did. Yep, I did a couple of, what's up?
What were your numbers?
Man, I think I competed at 190.
So you competed?
Yeah, I competed at 190. I think it was 195. 198. I competed at 198. And keep in mind, I didn't even do my first competition until I was well into my 30s. And I'd never done any kind of deadlifting in my life. I did like Romanian deadlift for reps. I never done any heavy pulling. A friend of mine said, "Hey, Chad," this is when I got out of wrestling for a while. He said, "Chad, man, come on. There's a lifting meet in Hagerstown in 2 months. Come on, I'm gonna do it. You gotta do it too." I said, "Okay, I'll do it." So we started training, and I first started doing deadlifting, and I fell in love with it. Because I was always a squat guy. I loved to squat, and but when I learned how to do a good deadlift, like a heavy pull down, I said, "Ooh, I feel strong." You know, I don't feel strong when I'm doing deadlifts, man. And I think my best deadlift on a meet day I did, it was at 198. I deadlifted 460.
Okay.
I think, and I squatted 450. I believe that was my best on those. Then, because I knew the bench press was going to be my weakest lift, so I knew I had to come strong, you know, with the legs and hips. You know what I mean? My bench press. What's up?
Keep going. Sorry.
Oh yeah, my best bench at a meet, I think it was 270 or 280. I can't remember. I think it might have been 280. I think that was my best bench. I think it was 280. So I did 280, 465 or 470, and 450 squats. So those were my best numbers.
This is the age what?
Actually, this was in the I was 35, I think. I can't remember. I was in my 30s. Yeah, I was in my 30s, and that was having never really done any heavy pulling before. You know what I mean? I actually set a record in my age group on my second meet.
Oh,
Jump in there, man. I said, "I'm up in here." Boom! I'm up in here. Yeah, so I did 3 meets. On my 3rd meet, I qualified for that organization's national championships. On my 3rd meet, I qualified for the national championships. So that was going to be in Florida about 2 months later. But my done behind, usually I took about 2-3 months off of heavy lifting after a meet to just kind of let the nervous system recover. But I jumped right back into it, and I got a bad case of neural fatigue, man. And I was just overtrained, and I kept getting injured. So I missed that national championships, and I was going to jump back in, but I got a friend of mine who's going to be at the meet that I was going to jump back into. I said, I'm not competing against that guy because he's a genetic freak, and he ended up he's about my height and my weight. He came in 5'9", 198, and he ends up triple body weight. Squat and deadlift, and he double body weighted on bench. So 400-pound bench press.
What?
400-pound bench press, right? And he did over 600 pounds on the squat and the deadlift. I said, dude, I'm not messing with you, bro. I'm not getting those kind of numbers, man. You're not going to embarrass me in my hometown.
Did he win the nationals?
He won that meet, and he retired because he used to compete a lot, back in his 20s. He didn't compete for about, I think, 20 years, and he did a couple of meets to tune up. And then because he had a couple of knee surgeries, and he wanted to go out with elite numbers. Mm-hmm. So he trained his butt off to make this meet his last meet. He was super focused, and his last meet he pulled elite numbers, and he called it quits.
Yeah, shit. Just
awesome.
After that. That's what this guy's in the powerlifting right now. His numbers are getting up there pretty high. So,
what you got right now, man? What you got?
Best bench 275, best squats 455, best deadlifts 545 at 165.
That's not bad, man.
Getting there.
And you know what? I think I actually misquoted, man. I think I was in the 500s. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, it was so long ago, man. Yeah, I think I was in the 500s for squat and deadlifts. I'm old, man. You gotta forgive me, man. Yeah, I'm old. I mean, you see that gray, man.
I told you get rid of those before the podcast, man.
I can't do it, man. I couldn't get my just for men on in time.
Hey, so what can you say to this? Because we work with a lot of adult clients here, females and males, and we have people who feel like they're almost getting like a rebirth at age 45 because they're coming in. A guy in particular, Joe Gursky. Mm-hmm. I think he's down 40, 50, maybe I don't know, somewhere around there, but he's down a lot of weight. Face is completely changed. And I mean, what is it that for you, in your experience, that allows people to have this transformation? Like, what do you see in your experience for people age 40 and above? What is a real integral part they need to have a transformation?
I think the first thing, like speaking for myself, is that I know that I can't do what I could do when I was in my 20s. I mean, you got to fully embrace that, and you have to, it's that your body's not anywhere near what it was when you were in your 20s, man. You had a overflow of testosterone, so you could recover fast, from brutal workouts. You had time, to be in the gym, hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours at a time. Back then, you can pretty much eat whatever you want and not put on one bit of body fat because of the hormonal health. But when we get older, especially men, and we begin to those old injuries that we thought healed up begin to reappear. The testosterone levels begin to slip. Our time isn't always our own. We're married. We have kids. We have our work responsibilities. We have our social responsibilities. There's just so much stuff, man, that just minimizes your time. You have to learn how to be a craftsman when it comes to what you're doing, as far as how. And also, one good thing about getting older is that there's a great book it's called Gray Hair, Black Iron. It's all about the science of the aging athlete, about towards his end of his life. Vat Lane, I think he only strength trained like once a week. Mm. Once a week, and but he maintained but the muscle mass that he had for a long time. So we get older, we don't need to train as often as guys your age, because our recovery is longer. You know what I mean? So when we were in our 20s, we'd hit like every 48 hours. You know what I mean? But when we get older, it might be like every 3 to 4 days. And that's our recovery time. You have to learn how to manage your volume. We don't need to do 48 sets of chest anymore. I get it. If I just show you pictures when I was wrestling in my 20s and with my shirt off now, I look almost identical, but I'm not doing near as much as I used to. You know what I'm saying? So I might go in now. A chest and back workout for me might be 3 sets of heavy bench, like 5, 5, 5, then 3, 3, 3, and 5, 3, 1 in consecutive weeks, and then I might do some TRX chest. I might do some TRX push-ups for about 2 to 3 sets of 12 reps. Then I might do a nice set of chest flies, 1 set, like 20 reps, and then I might do some heavy rows. Then I might do some single arm TRX rows. Then I might do some rope climbing. For about a good 4 to 5 minutes. Good functional pulling. You know what I mean? Some rope climbing. But back in the day, I might have did about 10 sets of 3 on the bench. I might have got about 5 or 6 sets of 12, some incline bench, but I don't need to do as much anymore, because my recovery time is a little slower than it was back in my youth. Also, cardio, man. Guys our age, we're keeling over of heart attacks, man, and heart disease. And we got to take care of the old ticker, man. We got to take care of it. Like when I get in the ring now, with guys half my age, they're amazed that I can keep up with them. They think that they're gonna like wrestle a circle around me because I'm 43 years old. But I'm like, nah, dude, nah, I'm in shape, baby. No,
Hey.
no, I'm in shape.
Side note on that, when he's talking about cardio, when we were at Activate and we were lifting, I was doing my stuff with a group, and he was doing boxing. And he goes over the boxing bag, starts hitting it for 2 minutes. I'm like, man, he probably got 2 or 3 rounds. I mean, if you box for 2 minutes, 2 or 3 rounds is pretty damn good. This guy goes 10 rounds, and like I'm talking the whole time for 2 minutes straight. I mean, boom, boom, boom. Like 10 rounds of that, I was very impressed with. I mean, being 43 years old, and that was his cardio. And then he's like, yeah, let's go.
What's next?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that's it. Is that you gotta be cardio is important, and also mobility. So,
hey, Chad, can I cut you off too?
Yeah.
When you mentioned cardio, I said to you at Activate, let's go for a run. Let's do some cardio. You're like, what's that mean? Run? I don't know what that means. No, thank you.
I thought he was speaking Spanish to me. I didn't know what that word meant.
Hey, so when you say cardio, what are some examples? Say if you can't run, or if you can't, if you're not into that kind of stuff.
Well, my first pick is boxing. I love heavy bag work, just because one of the things that tends to go as we age is our power, and hitting the bag, it maintains your power. Plus, it's this crazy cardio movement, you know what I mean? Ab power gets you a lot of extra ab work. You're gonna get nice rock hard abs, man. Hit that bag for a good half hour. Lots of rotation in there, hips, footwork, staying athletic. I love heavy bag work. Is a choice. I like just doing general hit training, man. Just rope work, calisthenics. You know what I mean? Sandbag work is good. I love timed intervals, using just whatever I can get my hands on. You know what I mean? Yeah, just whatever. I just like to stay ladder work. If it's nice out, I'll go do some hill sprints. You know what I mean? Just heavy carries. I just go grab a pair of heavy kettlebells and just walk as long as I can up and down the parking lot. You know what I mean? Or I'll rack it up. I'll do some overhead carries. And also sometimes I'll just go down to the wrestling school. I'll just roll with some guys. You know what I mean? We'll just do some chain wrestling, and just whatever's going to break a sweat and keep me sweating for about a good half hour, I'm good to go. I don't really need to go an hour and a half cardio, you know what I mean? Or I'll hit the rower, do some intervals on the rower, just whatever you like. I mean, if you like to run, go run, but just make sure that whatever you do, that it's not going to be destructive, on your joints and stuff that you can keep doing for the next 20 to 30 years. You know what I mean? Basically, is my advice.
I'm hoping that the Xceleration Fitness clients are hearing this, because everything you just said, heavy carries, rollers, sprints, whatever, is exactly what we do with our clients here. So it makes me feel really happy to hear that. And like you also mentioned the running thing and being destructive. I don't know about you guys, but I drive down the road sometimes. I'll go on the sidewalk and I'll see guys in their 40s going for runs. And maybe this is a very pessimistic way to view it. When I see that, I'm like, that's great, they're exercising, but like, it's Michigan too. So I know it's going to get cold. So I'm almost not happy to see a person running, because I know the chances of them being consistent with their running for the rest of the year, for the rest of their life, are not that high. So when it comes to coming to a gym where something's laid out for you and it's done, it's more consistent, I know the longevity of that. I know like he's going to get a better workout out of that than it is for this run. You know what I mean?
Exactly, man. Yeah, and that's for real. My focus right now, as it should be for anybody, who's getting up there in age, especially, is thinking that you got to think longevity. It's like, what can I do? I look at like I said, I look at Jack LaLanne. This dude knew his lane, and he stayed there, and he changed lanes, right? When he had to, and he stayed there. He might have to change lanes again, but stay there. Is what can you, just like a diet, what they say, hey Chad, what's the best diet? The one that you can sustain for the next, 20, 30, 40 years. That's the best diet. If it's hard for you to do, why are you doing it? You know what I mean? Change gears. What can you maintain? What can you do well for the next, couple of decades? So what's the best cardio? Whatever you can sustain for the next couple of decades. You can't run forever, and you shouldn't. Yeah. What's the best diet? One that you can stick to. What's the best workout? One that you can stick to. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter.
Exactly. Well, hey, we're about to wrap this up, but Chad, I didn't tell you this about the podcast. At the end of the podcast, we'll do something a little fun. It's called the fire round. And basically, we're going to ask you some questions. You got to give us the top of the dome answer.
First thing that comes in your mind.
I got it.
I'm about to really learn who Chad Smith is. You got it. All right, second. Chad, let's start off nice and easy. Are you a morning or night person?
Night. Yeah, I'm a night owl, bro.
Night owl. Okay.
You could be in any 90s music group as a member of the band or group. Who would you be and why?
Dude, easy. I've been Boys to Men.
I think you're like the second or third one to say that, actually.
Yeah. I've been Boys to Men. Because Boys to Men, they had the best music for seducing women that you ever wanted, to hear. Seriously, like you put on that you put on So Hard to Say Goodbye Yesterday, or you put on I Made Love to You. It's a wrap, man. It's over.
Hey, he's laughing now, but he's going on his phone as soon as it's done.
You're gonna put it on this playlist. I know you are. It's a wrap. It's over.
All right. Boys to Men. Chad, can pineapples go on pizza?
Yeah. Well, with ham. Yeah. With some barbecue sauce. Yes, sir. You don't go right it can.
All right.
And if you say it can't, you know what? You might be ISIS.
Damn.
I'm just saying, you might want to check his credentials, bro. You might want to check out if he says no, check his credentials. He might be ISIS.
You went right there. Okay.
All right. Favorite book
of all time?
All time. One book.
Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill. There you go.
Never read it.
Napoleon Hill. One of the greatest books ever written on creating an abundance mindset.
That's my next book then. I never even heard of that one. That's good.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Okay. Favorite quote?
Favorite quote? Oh, man. It's actually probably by Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
Right now, it changes. But right now, when it says, don't wait for opportunity to knock, walk up to opportunity's door, kick that bitch in, and introduce yourself.
I love it. All right. If a movie was made about your life, who would play you?
Ooh. I think that maybe depends on what part of life you're talking about.
Let's make it interesting. Let's go like around your 18, 19, 20 years old.
18, 19, 20 years old, man. Probably, let's see. Probably, man, that's a good question, man. Who would that be? Probably Vin Diesel.
Okay. Vin Diesel.
Okay.
Yeah, probably Vin Diesel.
All right. So you are going into a wrestling match. You could pick one song to be your walkout song. What is it?
The song that I had custom made for me, the Flex Phenom official ring theme.
The Flex Phenom made.
Yeah, dude, I'm big time, brother. I don't go small time anymore. You know what I mean? I have one made. I had a brother. He's a rapper and a producer around the Washington D.C. area. What's up, Midas? You know what I mean? His name is Midas the Golden Touch, and he made me a custom ring theme. It's pretty dope. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
One more question?
One more. You got your phone on you, man?
Yeah, man.
All right. I want you to pull up your messages, go to your keyboard, and then go to your emojis.
Okay.
You have emojis? I know you have a droid.
Yeah, we got emojis all day, baby. All day. All day.
I don't know if it's the same on there. But
What am I doing? Facebook messages or what am I doing? Like texts?
A regular text.
Regular text.
Okay. All right, come on, let's do it.
All right. So bring up your emojis, and your left column down is going to be your most frequently used. At least it is on an iPhone. I don't know about a Droid.
Yep.
And I want you to read those off. So these are your most frequently used emojis.
On which one? You want the far left or far right? What do you want?
Far left column. Yep, going down, far left.
All right. I got peach, celebration, laughing, and thumbs up.
Peach? What's the peach for?
It means sweet.
Oh, okay.
Sweet.
All right. I use it for something else.
Yeah.
So.
What do you use it for?
That's the booty, son.
The booty.
Bro, listen, don't talk about booty with me. I have the best butt in pro wrestling. I've been told by several people.
Best button.
Right.
There we go.
Pro wrestling. I'm just saying, listen, I've been told that. I'm just saying.
All right. Well, hey, Chad, thanks for joining us today, man. I definitely got to bring you out to Detroit. I know our boy David Jack mentioned that Washington and Detroit need to activate locations. But I hope to see you before then, man, because I really do want to come out to Washington and see what Fitness Revolution is all about.
Hey, listen,
anytime you're in Michigan, man, you got a home in Auburn Hills waiting for you.
Hey, listen, I'm there, brother. Listen, I'm coming to come see you, come see Dominic, come see my new buddy. I got to take his Pilates class. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We're going to go. Hey, come here once. Come here. Hey, come here. Hey, by the way, come down here. This is my wife, Kat. My wife and business partner. This is one of the knuckleheads I was staying with.
Oh, what's up, bud?
What's up,
And
man?
of course, here's my man. Hey, before we go, drop some bars on it. Before we go. Ready?
Yo. I'm like your fan. First of all, stop looking at me. Yeah. Take the ball. Take the ball.
Oh, you're whack.
I ain't
There we go.
All right, people. Hey, listen, hey, good talking to you guys, man. Whatever you need, talk to a brother. I got you, all right? We'll do it again.
Hey, love you, man. Thank you, Chad.